first video, first video, first video. Ha! Oh, it fell. Howdy, my name is Jess, and if you didn't get it from the little blurb before, this is my first video. And I thought it'd be important to kind of do like a little introduction, except I don't know what you would want to know. Lily, what do you think? Do you think they would be interested in just like random things about myself? Speak to me! Give me your knowledge. Okay, I got it. Okay, so I have about 5 things that I'm going to tell you about myself that won't help you steal my identity, because I like my identity and you can't have it. So number 1, my nickname growing up. I didn't have one. I was just Jessica until I got to college, where they called me Jess, because I got tired of 3 syllables, like Jessica. That's so long when it can be Jess. And then I have my own theme song from New Girl, so like, why wouldn't I be Jess? Number 2, my age. A lady never reveals her age. Don't ask girls that. Number 3, my sign. I am a Cancer. I just latch on to people and never let go, you know, normal things. My favorite book is like asking me who my favorite child is. Do I have children? No, but I'm sure it'd be the same thing. And number 5, my favorite couple. My favorite color is either green or blue or pink. I haven't made up my mind yet. And today we will be reading Erin Craig's The House of Salt and Sorrow. Are you ready, Lily? Are you ready to hear what this book is about? Are you growling? You don't want to hear how this tale goes? Well, tough nuggets. Great. I'm going to read the blurb, and then I'm going to read the first chapter, kind of to myself, and giving you my commentary along with it, because I'm hysterical. Annalie lives a sheltered life at Highmore, a manor by the sea, with her sisters and their father and stepmother. Once there were 12, but loneliness fills the grand halls now that 4 of the girls' lives have been cut short. Each death was more tragic than the last. The plague, a plummeting fall, a drowning, a slippery plunge. And there are whispers throughout the surrounding villages that the family is cursed by the gods. Disturbed by a series of ghostly visions, Annalie becomes increasingly suspicious that her sister's deaths were no accidents. The girls have been sneaking out every night to attend glittering balls, dancing until dawn in silk gowns and shimmering slippers. And Annalie isn't sure whether to stop them or join their forbidden trysts. Because who or what are they really dancing with? When Annalie's involvement with a mysterious stranger who has secrets of his own intensifies, it's a race to unravel the darkness that has fallen over her family before it claims her next. Okay, so right off the bat, we're talking about jewelry, and there's no way that I'll ever be able to pronounce her sister's name. It's like Lualee, like, who names their child that? And then black pearls. I didn't know that was a thing. And so our main character, Annalie, she says, I fumbled at my own necklace of black pearls, wanting to offer her something more stylish, but the battalion of pallbearers shut the coffin lid before I could undo the clasp. What is happening? I don't get it.
It's a funeral.
Well, yeah, but like, why is she wanting to take off her own pearls to give it to her sister in the middle of a funeral?
Is it the dead sister?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. It's possible. Let us continue. It is the dead sister. Yeah, Lily, tell me about it. She's trying to cry. at her sister's funeral. Which I feel like it shouldn't be hard to cry at your sister's funeral. And she talks about how she knows that it will be expected of me, but she just knows she's not going to cry because her sister's dead. Like, do you have a heart of stone? So she's feigning tears, so she must be a good actress. She must really not care about her sister. Oh, her dad's a duke. T. So her stepmother and her father have only been married for a few months. So I don't know what happened to her mom. Like, did her mom die years before? Or just months before? We're gonna find out. We gotta keep reading. But she's also talking about how since they've only been married a few months, this should be like their honeymoon phase, you know? But instead they're burying his oldest daughter, so that's lovely. And it's the stepmother's first trip to the mausoleum. That's great. Oh, mom's been dead for a while. Oh, and our main character visits her shrine nearly every week. What a sweet lass. Oh, talking about her days and pretending she listened. That's so sad. So they must have had a good relationship. Ew, gross. That's very good imagery in this book. They're talking about how one of her sister's graves is bordered in roses, her favorite flower. They grew fat and pink in the summer months like the plague pustules that claimed her life at only 18. It's gross, but very vivid. It seemed inevitable when Elizabeth died. So they're just used to it now, everyone's dying. Oh, she died in the bathtub. Ooh, ends on a cliffhanger. Which one of us would be next? I don't know. We're gonna find out. But due to the fact that it's in the first person, we know that Annalie probably isn't gonna die because it's first person past tense. So I'm assuming she's gonna live, because if she doesn't, this is a strange story. Maybe she's writing it as a ghost. Ooh, now that would be a plot twist. In some of the reviews that I saw for this book, they talked about some plot twists. So maybe that is the plot twist. That she's a ghost, which would fit the ghostly visions. Ooh, tea. So, thus concludes the first chapter. Initial feeling, if I found this in a bookstore, and I always read the first couple chapters to see if it's worth buying, especially because this one's $19, I don't know if I would buy it. Just initial glance. However, I am intrigued by the tea of her being a ghostwriter. I think that'd be pretty dope. And if it doesn't end that way, I'm gonna be upset. I want to know more about this mysterious stranger. I think that could be very interesting as well. And it's interesting that all of the sisters have kind of like little memorials with things that kind of attributed to their death. So like we have the roses for the plague lady. There's a book for a girl who fell down the staircase in the library. And for Elizabeth, the one who drowned in the bathtub, she gets it was supposed to be a dove, but it turns out to be a seagull, which, you know, kind of, I get that. Water, seagull, tracks. And then it does end on that cliffhanger of like, which one of us will be next. Kind of gripping, but also the first chapter is only a couple pages long. So I wish there was a little bit more, which we'll probably find out in the ensuing chapters. Well, since that first chapter was pretty short and not a lot of things to go off of, let's go ahead and jump in to the next one. Are you ready? Because I am. Chapter 2. So again, we have more imagery of the village people thinking that this family is cursed. The High Mariner, who I'm guessing is kind of like the priest dude, he's doing this hand motion that Annalie thinks could be a blessing, but it could also be like a gesture of protection for himself against her, because the family thinks, or the village thinks that the family is cursed. Okay, This is kind of funny. So she's saying that eventually they live on an island. It's going to be overrun by all these shrines of dead people, that there isn't going to be enough land for the living. And so she's like, I don't want a monument because I don't need to do that. She says, thank you, no. Just push me into the sea and return me to the salt. Which I think is kind of funny. Where she's just like, no, just... It's like Shane from BuzzFeed Unsolved, who they always talk about like how when he dies he just wants his body like left out in an open field for vultures and wild dogs to eat. And that's kind of how I'm getting this vibe from this girl. She's like, nah, just, I'm dead, I'm gone, do whatever you want. Oh. Okay, so she's talking to her dead sister. Like there was just starting to be, dialogue. And I was like, who is she talking to? But then she talks about how it's unnatural to have this one-sided conversation with her dead sister. Tracking now. When the fishermen found her body smashed on the rocks below, they mistook her for a beach dolphin. Yes, because a dead person looks like a dolphin. Okay. I actually have no idea. And of course it's raining, because it only rains at funerals. Which isn't true, because there was one funeral that I wasn't able to go to because there was an ice storm. So, in Nebraska. So, it doesn't always rain. Though all the other ones I've been to, they have rained. I wonder if anyone has been to a non-rainy funeral. Oh, you have? Okay. Well, then, never mind. You see it on TV, and I was like, oh wow, it's actually happening in my life. But just kidding. Jeez. I hadn't worn anything lighter than charcoal in the 6 years since Mama passed away. So, in Victorian, culture, you would wear black for a certain amount of period for, when after someone died, and it depended on how close the relation was. So like if it was your family, like your sister, it'd be like a year. But if it was like a distant cousin, it would be maybe a week or two, depends. Fun fact, when Sherlock Holmes fell off the Reichenbach cliff, people wore bands, like black bands, on their arms because they're like, Sherlock is dead, because they loved him that much. So it's interesting that for this girl, for 6 years, she's been wearing black. That's a long time. She says, I never know what I ought to say at these things. Me, literally, all the time. Oh, tea! So the wake is in a room that has this really great view of the cliffs. The same cliffs that the sister who they're having this wake for fell off of.
Why would you do that?
So they're showcasing the cliffs where she died. And our narrator is like, it seems wrong to do that. I think it's hysterical, and I would probably do that. Oh, even bigger tea. Her stepmother is her age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or closer to her age than to her father's. So the stepmother is like, are all the services always like that? So serious and dour? And our wonderful narrator classically says, well, it's a funeral. T, the stepmother is pregnant. Plot twist. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. So the stepmother, she's talking to Annalie, and she's like, we should be celebrating happy things instead of death, and Annalie is like, we're at a funeral, like, that's what you do at funerals. And she's like, well, actually, I'm pregnant. And then she asks Annalie, she's like, do you think your father would be happy? And Annalie is like, yeah, sure. And so the stepmom is going over right now, in the middle of this wake, to tell her husband that she's pregnant. I feel like there could be better timing. Maybe after everyone leaves, and not in the middle of his dead daughter's wake. You know, like that just seems, it is great, congratulations for being pregnant, you know, great job on your part, but like, wait a minute until after this whole thing is over and like in private, and you know, is that just me? I don't know. Oh shoot, she's like telling everyone, she like rang a bell to get everyone's attention. This girl must have been an only child. And she's using the dead mother's bell to ring to get everyone's tea. Oh, even more tea. Now, every time I heard it ring, memories of her last pregnancy came back to me with the force of a cold wave crashing into my chest. So, the dad is not going to be happy hearing this bell, thinking of his dead wife's last pregnancy, and now his new wife is ringing it, and she's pregnant. Oh, tea. There's tea. Her words, though obviously chosen with care, flowed easily from her. My eyes narrowed. She'd practiced this before. And it is very eloquent. And she says, "We are happy, joyful evening, for in this bold new morning, a fresh chapter dawns on the house of Thames? Thames? I don't know how to pronounce their name. So this is tea. And so too will the shadows of grief be pushed aside by the arrival of our son." And that's how the chapter ends. So I don't know how the dad's gonna respond. I have a feeling it ain't gonna be pretty. And also, how do you know it's a boy? Like, do you just magically know? Like, how? When my sister-in-law was pregnant, she for sure thought it was a girl, and then whoop, it was a boy. So you can't tell. So I think she's kind of jumping the gun here. Also, why at a funeral? I just keep coming back to that. Like, why? It just seems rude. You know, like kind of pushing the dead sister aside, being like, but instead we're going to have this boy or girl. It could be another girl. They have 12 girls, so it could just be another girl. Maybe he's just not lucky, you know? Though I guess it is a different wife. So maybe it will be a boy. More things to uncover in the next chapters. So that is the end of chapter 2. And honestly, I'm intrigued. I think it could be a good story. I'm not gripped, but it could be just one of those kind of slow-moving books that as you read into it, it gets more and more intense and more interesting. So if you want me to continue on this journey with the House of Salt and Sorrows, let me know in the comments below if you want me to continue it, if you want to know more about it. I think it could be fun. And I'm excited to find out how the dad feels about the stepmother's kind of callous announcement in the middle of his dead daughter's wake. How do the sisters feel about it? And, most importantly, who's gonna die next?